Hello students, hope all of you are doing well. So in this e-content, we are going to discuss about the principles of language teaching. Before going to discuss the principles of language teaching, we'll have to go through the definition of language teaching. What is the difference between language teaching and learning a language? And after that, we will go through the principles of language teaching. Okay. So language teaching is different from learning a language. Most of the time we might have a misconception, we might have a misunderstanding that language teaching and learning a language, these are similar. But in actual sense, learning language teaching is different from that of learning a language. Now the question is, what is language teaching? Language teaching is a skill to make the learners learn a language joyfully. Okay, as a teacher, how will you make your learners learn a language joyfully? Okay, all these skills, okay, are included in the subject what language teaching. So this is the difference between language teaching and learning a language. Okay, now we are going to discuss the principles of language teaching. So what is the first principle of language teaching? Principle of motivation. Principle of motivation is very much important. Okay, that means as a teacher, okay, you have to motivate, you have to encourage your students first. Only then the students will be able to learn the language. Without motivation, learning a language is not possible. Now how will you motivate your students? There are certain techniques. What are the techniques? Just have a look. Number one technique is arousing. Okay, number two is expectancy, and number three is incentive. The first technique, arousing, that means you will have to create an environment, okay, to attract your students towards the learning of a language. And for that particular purpose, you can use tape recorders, you can use radio, okay, you can read aloud, okay, you can also go through different audio visual aids so that the students can get attracted towards the learning a language. So this is all about the first technique. What is the second technique? The second technique is expectancy. Expectancy means you will have to tell your students, okay, what is the purpose of learning a particular language, what is the goal, what is the objective of learning that particular language, specifically the English language. So this is all about the second technique, expectancy. Okay, number three is incentive. That means you can announce certain rewards, okay, for the students so that they can get attracted towards learning a particular language. So this is all about the three techniques, okay, that is related to the principle of motivation. Number two is principle of habit formation. That means you will have to form habit among your students towards the learning of a particular language. Okay, different language skills. What are the language skills? Basically, the language skills are listening, speaking, writing, reading. Okay, these four are the language skills. So to attain all these skills, okay, you will have to form habit among your students, okay, so that they can have a change of behavior with experience is important. Okay, you can motivate your students so that they can have this habit of learning a particular language through different language skills. Okay, and the number two point is automatic response to a specific situation. That means you will have to create such an environment, okay, where they can form their habits, and after that they can have automatic response to a specific situation in the classroom. And how will it be possible? Through regular repetition. So this is all about the second principle of language teaching. What is the second principle? Principle of habit formation. Number three is principle of imitation. Okay, so as everyone knows that teacher is basically what? He is a good model for his or her students. Okay, so as a teacher you will have to read the text fluently. Okay, as a teacher you will have the capability, you must have the capability to write something correctly. As a teacher you must have the ability to pronounce a word correctly. After that the student will be able to imitate you, the student will be able to copy you. Okay, so this is all about the principle of imitation. So here you can also use tape recorder, radio in your classroom so that the student can get attracted and he or she gets the opportunity to imitate the language, the words, okay, the sentences, etc, etc, so that he or she can learn the language correctly. Okay, number four principle is principle of practice and drill. So everyone knows that practice makes a man perfect. So you will have to encourage your students to do something regularly. Okay. After that, okay, it will be beneficial for them to go through the language skills, the four language skills. What are the four language skills? I have already mentioned before: listening, speaking, reading, writing, etc. So practice and drill, this is the fourth principle of language teaching, and for that particular purpose you will have to motivate, you will have to encourage your students to the fullest. Number five is principle of oral approach. Okay, this is one of the most important principles of language teaching. Why? Because this is the quickest way of learning. Oral approach is the quickest way of learning. And now point number two, I have already mentioned here. Speech can motivate faster. When you use speech in the classroom, okay, you can motivate your students faster than anything else. Why? Because reading and writing comes after speech. So this is all about the principle of oral approach, and this is one of the most important principles of what? Language teaching. Number six, the sixth principle of language teaching is principle of natural order of learning. So what is the order, natural order of learning a particular language? Number one, listening. Number two, speaking. Number three, reading. And the fourth one is writing. For example, suppose our mother tongue. Okay, when we learn speaking our mother tongue, how we learn speaking our mother tongue? At first we'll have to listen, and after that, okay, after listening the words in our mother tongue, we start speaking, and after speaking, what comes? Reading, and after reading, what comes? Writing. So there is a particular sequence, okay, particular order, and this is the natural order of learning. That particular principle you can also use in the classroom to make your student learn a particular language. Okay, so this is all about the sixth principle. What is the sixth principle? Principle of natural order of learning. Number seven is principle of using mother tongue. Okay, when you use mother tongue in your classroom, specifically it is said that the mother tongue should not be used, but if you use mother tongue in your classroom and translate certain things, certain words, certain sentences, then it can motivate your students. Okay, yeah, it can motivate, it can encourage your students. So that is why it is a motivation factor, okay, using mother tongue. So by using mother tongue, you can motivate, you can encourage your students towards the learning of a particular language. That is why it is also a principle of what? Language teaching. What is the principle? Principle of using mother tongue. So all these things, all these principles are the principles of what? Language teaching. I hope you understand. Thank you. Keep learning.